And that phrase that you talk about, the wasted mother myth, really stood out
Mm.
to me. And so I would love to begin by just taking on this myth of the wasted mother. Where is this cultural myth sneaking into our hearts and minds and challenging mothers? And how can we guard against that?
Yeah, I think we have to start with the cultural phenomenon of feminism, really. We are
Mm,
starting with a movement that has been framed as pushing for equality. And you could argue that there have been changes that have brought women from a place of kind of being preyed upon in some situations into having some more agency. And there's positive aspects to that. But I also think we've seen a lot of that progress come from Christian culture, not feminist culture,
mm,
because a truly Christian culture that values women, values motherhood, values feminine roles will not oppress women.
yeah,
So, truly Christian organizations, I believe, have made the most strides in quote unquote progress for women.
yeah.
But when we look at the damage that the feminist narrative has done, uh, it is exponentially above and beyond any claims toward progress
Mm,
or benefit. And the reason that I believe this is that we have had several generations of mothers who have lost their footing, I believe, but it has culminated in our current rising generation of mothers who are so fixated on loss of identity, loss of self, loss of time. And the focus is that it's only honest if it's negative, is
mm,
really what I'm seeing a lot of. So, I mean, I think we can see very clearly from scripture that nothing we do for God is wasted.
yeah.
That whether it is wiping bottoms, which your producer will have edited this out, but I literally had to just stop in the middle of my train of thought and
I love it.
literally go wipe a 5-year-old's bottom. 4-year-old, he's 4, he's not 5 yet. Whether it's wiping bottoms while you're trying to keep your train of thought in a podcast, whether it is, being the sole provider for a family, whether it is homeschooling your children, whether it is serving your church well and taking food to people, or volunteering just unseen, no money in there anywhere. All of those are opportunities, or whether it's being a good sibling or, a good athlete, a good student, all of those are opportunities to do what First Corinthians talks about, doing it all to the glory of God.
Yeah,
When we have a mindset of something being wasted, that's not coming from scripture.
yeah.
If it's done for right reasons,
That's
that's
good.
coming from a culture that says, unless you feel personally fulfilled, unless you feel recognized, unless you feel validated, unless your efforts are noticed, praised, and elevated, then what you're doing can't possibly have worth. And
Mm,
I think it's pretty easy to come to a conclusion of wasted motherhood when so much of the things that we do, one, aren't even going to be remembered in detail by our small children,
right.
meaning they're having an effect. They are laying a foundation of love. They are 100% worth doing. But will our 2-year-old remember our rocking him to bed at night and our reading to him and singing to him and rubbing his back? Probably not. He will remember being loved, though, and
Mm.
that is never wasted.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good, Abby. And I think it's a really good reminder, as I said, as we were getting started, we're talking to moms who a lot of us have biological children. And so we've had that experience, but then choosing to say yes to the assignment of adoption or foster care, that's an added pressure. That's a lot of, there's a lot of well-meaning people in our lives. And I know a lot of our moms here listening can attest to this, or people cautioning because they don't want their loved ones to experience the discomfort of
Sure.
kind of like that wasted motherhood concept of not, there is a lot of time, energy, and soul work that pours into this calling. And so, and it,
Yes.
it is very invisible most of the time. It is behind the scenes. It's in the, you know, wee hours of the night kind of a thing. There's a lot of things that you isolate from because it's hard and most people don't understand it. And so we're speaking to that. And I love what you said about, if it's done for the glory of God, it's not wasted. If it is called by God and you are obedient to that, it's not wasted. And so, what a
Absolutely.
great way to just set our mental framework here as we're going into other parts of the conversation, because the reality is it's challenging. No matter
Sure.
how you're called mom, whether it's foster, adoptive, bio, respite, whatever, it's challenging. And I think it's healthy for us to acknowledge the challenges of motherhood, but also remembering the significance of them. So let's talk about those challenges of motherhood and why they matter.
Yeah. Let's do it.